Today we're going to start a review for Test 1. This test will be over algebra topics and finances. The first question in the review is a formula. It's about a scientist that is performing an experiment, and we are given the formula A equals 0.07 C plus 2.28. A represents the amount of a compound, and that's in grams, and then C would be the milligrams of the catalyst that is added to this compound for the reaction to occur. The question is, how much of the compound is produced if you have 500 milligrams of catalyst? Since that is the catalyst, the 500 would go in place of the C. We would make this substitution. You can now quickly put that in a calculator to more easily calculate those decimals. And the answer would be 37.28. So the correct answer here is A. On question number 2, we're given another formula per se used by forensic scientists. And this is the formula, H equals 69.09 plus 2.24 F. It had told us that F is the femur, that is the length of the femur bone, and that is in centimeters. And then it says H is going to be the height of the person in centimeters. Now the question says to find the height when the femur measures 69. Since we're given femur, the F will be used as 69. So we'll make that substitution. Let F be the 69 centimeters for the femur. Again, you can pull out a calculator to make this an easier task. And the answer is 223.65, and of course that's the height, so that's centimeters, and for me the correct answer would be D. In this third question, we're asked to simplify the expression. Read carefully the directions. It says use the distributive property to multiply and remove parentheses. It does not say solve. So we just need to remove the parentheses and combine like terms. 2 times 2x would be 4x. 2 times 3 would be 6. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 4 is negative 24. Once you've removed the parentheses, then you will combine like terms. The like terms here would be the x terms, 4 and 6, so that would be 10x. And also the integers, the regular real numbers, 6 minus 24, that would be a negative 18. The answer then is an expression. It's a binomial in this case, 2 terms, 10x minus 18. Now in this question, you are told to solve. So that means when you get your answer set up, you will have x equals some number. You have to solve it all the way. We will start off with distributive property like before. So 6 times 2 would give me 12x. 6 times negative 8 is negative 48. Bring over the minus 5 and the equal sign. 6 times x would be 6x. 6 times negative 7 is negative 42, and bring over the plus 1. After you've removed the parentheses, again, we want to combine like terms that are on the same side. And I notice right here I have negative 48 and negative 5. That's going to give me negative 53 or minus 53. Over here I had negative 42 plus 1. That will give me minus 41. Now from this step, we want to isolate x. So that means I need to get the x on one side by itself. One way to do that would be to add 53 to both sides. That would result in 12x equals 6x plus 12. And then I could subtract the 6x on both sides. That would result in 6x equals 12. So I now have the x on one side. The last step is to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient is going to be 6 here. Divide both sides by 6. Solution would be x equals 2. That does verify as one of the answers. In question 5, we're told to solve a proportion. If you recall, with a proportion, you will cross multiply, then solve. When I cross multiply the negative 5 times the 30, we will get negative 150. And I cross multiply the p times the 6, that would be 6p. Now I need to divide both sides by 6 to solve for p. So negative 150 divided by 6 is negative 25. That would be the solution, negative 25. In this example, we have a word problem and we are asked to use a proportion to set it up. What you will need to do is find what the references are here. In other words, what is being corresponded to what. It says on the blueprint, 1 inch corresponds to 4 feet. So the 1 inch goes with the 4 feet. We could actually write it as a fraction, 1 inch over 4 feet, because that is a correspondence that is true according to this blueprint. Then we are told that an exterior wall is 14 feet long, so how long would the blueprint measurement be? So we will set this equal to another fraction, but the other fraction has to also have inches over feet, if that's how I set up the first fraction. Now, if it had been feet over inches, I would do feet over inches. Now, I am giving 14 feet, so the 14 must be in the bottom, in the denominator. So that means the x, the unknown, is in the numerator. This is how you would set up the problem. Now I will cross multiply. 1 times 14 is 14. X times 4 is 4x. I will divide by 4. And when I divide that by 4, let's see, I could reduce that. That would be 7 halves, which is also 3 1/2, which would be right here, answer D, 3 1/2. On question 7, we have to solve the inequality. So I will take this greater than problem and try to get x by itself. I will solve it using the same techniques as a regular equation. So add 7 to get the x term, and I end up with 64. Divide by 8 to get the x by itself, and x would be greater than 8. Now remember, if there is no line underneath that greater than, then we have to have an open circle, and that would be on the number 8. So it cannot be C or D. Now this is also greater than. Greater than would be shaded to the right, so the correct answer is A. Had that been greater than equal to, then I would use a closed or dotted in circle. It would have been closed in and penciled in. On this question, I will also solve for the x. This time we do have the line underneath the less than symbol. So I will divide by -6. Now remember, when you divide by a negative, you have to flip or change around that less than to a greater than. This only happens when you divide with a negative number. So be careful of that when you divide with a negative, and it's a less than greater than problem. Now this one, because it does have the line underneath that greater than, I would look for a closed circle. So it's definitely not choice A or choice D. and this one is greater than equal to, so it is also shaded to the right. That would be answer C. Now for the solution, you would just type in x greater than equal to 6. On question 9, we're going to town and we have a pair of jeans that would be on sale. The original price is $55 and they are 30% off. So we want to know what's the sales price. To get the discount, we can take 30% and multiply by the original price. The percentage times the original price will always give us the amount that was discounted. So the discount is $16.50 or $16.50. Now we will take the original price, which was $55, excuse me, subtract the discount, $16.50, and we come up with the price of $38.50. So that would be the new 30% off sales price, $38.50, answer B. In question 10 here, we are going to a foreign country and they have a very expensive luxury sales tax of 28%. Now remember, if it's sales tax, that's always added to the original price. Now we're going to go off to this foreign country. A very wealthy socialite's going to buy a diamond tiara for $268,000, and we want to calculate the tax. So the tax would be 28% times the original price of $268,000. Now remember, when you're calculating this tax, you have to change that percentage to a decimal. And this is the same way on the previous problem before you put it in the calculator. So I'm putting 0.28 times 268,000, and that will give me $75,040. Now this is the tax amount because they wanted to know how much tax. They didn't want to know the total that she paid, because she really has to pay the cost of the tiara plus the tax, but this question only asks for the tax. In question 11, we want to find gross income, adjusted gross income, and taxable income. The gross income would be all of the money that comes into the home or into your checking account. That would include wages, so I have $68,400, and any money that you get on interest from a savings account or an investment. So I will add these two together, $68,400 plus $890 in interest, and that gives me $69,290. That is the gross. Then, to get the adjusted gross, which is also called AGI by the IRS, we will take your gross income, and the only thing you can subtract from that would be if you paid alimony payments, or if you're self-employed and pay Social Security payments, or in this example, if you had something tax deferred. If you recall, a traditional IRA is a tax deferred retirement plan. They will allow you to subtract that out of what you owe for your gross income for taxes. So I will take the $69,290 and subtract $2,100 in tax deferred. So that's $67,190. This is the AGI, the adjusted gross. So far, it looks like the answer could be either choice A or choice D. Last but not least, we will get the taxable income. The taxable income will always take the AGI, adjusted gross, and from that we subtract things. We will subtract the personal exemption of $3,800, and we will subtract the itemized deductions of $6,230. So let me go ahead and subtract that from my AGI. And I will get $57,160. that is the amount of money I would owe taxes on, not the original gross of 69 plus thousands. So the correct answer would be D. In question 12, we have to calculate the tax for this single man. Since it's a single man, we will use this first column that is entitled Single. And you will notice that this single man has a $29,000 income. $29,000 causes him to fall in the second category tax rate of 15%. However, the way the IRS does taxes is they only tax the first $8,700 at 10%. So he does not have to pay 15% on everything. To calculate his taxes, we would take 10% of the first $8,700 because that's this first level of the tax rate table. So that will really be 0.10 times 8,700. Then to that, we add his extra money. Now, if you notice, he made $29,000. So the 15% would be his $29,000 minus the $8,700 that we've already calculated at 10%. So basically, of his full income, he is paying $20,300 at 15%. So I will multiply these together and add. So the 0.10 times 8,700 will give me $870 plus the 0.15 or 15% times 20,300 gives me 3,045. I add these two together, and this is his total taxes. But this man also has a tax credit. Yippee, yippee, yippee. Okay, tax credits you get to take off from what you owe the IRS. So I take off his credit at the end, and once I subtract that 500, the amount of money that he owes would be $3,415. Answer choice C. Now let's calculate the FICA taxes. FICA, remember, is what we pay out of each paycheck for Social Security and Medicare so that when we reach an elderly age, we can benefit from these programs. Since this person is not self-employed, you would use the employee's rate. Always use this if it says not self-employed. The difference would be the employer or the boss has to pay some of these taxes. And if you're self-employed, that means you own your own business. You have to pay all of these taxes. The good thing for an employee is we don't have to pay all of the 13.3% taxes. So we're not self-employed. We will pay 5.65% on the first $110,000. Then we will add 1.45% on any money over $110,000. And that will be the FICA. In this example, this person made $168,000. So $168,000 minus the $110,000 would say that that person had $58,000 over the $110,000 level. So we'll go ahead and continue. And we need to move these decimal points 2 places to the left on these percentages. So this is really going to be 0.0565 times that 110,000 plus 0.0145 times that excess money. Now let me go ahead and calculate this with a calculator because that will be the easiest since we are dealing with so many decimals. So I have my 0.0565 times 110,000 plus 0.0145 times 58,000, and I end up with $7,056. That would be the FICA taxes, answer B. Now, in question 14, we're going to switch gears and talk about interest and loans. In order to start a small business, a particular student takes out a simple interest loan of $2,000 for only 3 months. Okay, and they're going to have a rate of 12%. First, you're asked how much interest must the student pay? Well, the formula for simple interest is given, and the interest would be the principal, which is the original amount of the loan, $2,000, times the rate, which is 12%, times the time. Now the time here is 3 months, and this formula normally counts time in years. So we have to convert the months to years by putting 3 over 12. 3 over 12 then would be 1/4, which is 1/4 of a year. If you prefer, you could change that 1/4 to a decimal 0.25 and then just multiply this all through. Also be sure to change 12% to 0.12, the decimal. Now in your calculator, multiply the 2,000 times the 0.12 for 12% times either the 1/4 or the 0.25. Those are both equivalent for 1/4. And you will end up with 60. Now this 60 is equal to the I. That is the amount of the interest, 60. Now to get future value, you would take the original amount and you would add the interest that you're going to be charged for this loan. So the original amount was $2,000. The interest that you had to pay back for the 3 months of using the money was 60. So the future total value paid back to this bank for the small business loan would be $2,060. Now in this example, we're going to talk about compound interest. Remember, compound interest is interest on the principal and the accumulated interest. In this particular problem, we are given the principal, which is the P, is 4,000. So I will substitute that in. Then we are given the rate, R, is 3%. But when we move our decimal point over 2 places, it's 0.03. Then we are told it's compounded annually. If it's annually, then the N is equal to 1. So that will be over 1, and this will be 1. The time will be in years, and that is 2. So that's going to be 1 times 2. Now, if I simplify this a little bit, this would really be 1 plus 0.03 over 1. If I put that in my calculator or just simplify in my head, I get 1.03. And then, of course, 1 times 2 is just 2. Now, I need to go ahead and raise this to that second power. 1.03 raised to the second power is going to be 1.0609. And that times the 4,000 in front will give me $4,243.60. Now that is the A, so that is the total amount. That would be principal and interest. So the amount in this account after the 2 years is $4,243.60. The interest, then the interest would be that amount minus the original principal. So the interest alone, you can see, is $243.60. That would be the interest alone. In question 16, you basically have to just think about this with compound interest. It says if you're going to pay compound interest 4 times a year, that's what we call quarterly. And quarterly would be every 3 months. Remember, annual would mean N equals 1. Semi or biannual means N equals 2. In this question, quarterly, you would use N equals 4. Monthly, you would use N equals 12. And daily, you would use N equals 365. These are all the compounding periods for compounded interest. In this question, you're asked about the rule of 72. If you recall from our studies, the rule of 72 says if you take 72 divided by the percentage rate that you're paid, then that will tell you the amount of time that it takes to double your money. So in this question, I have 72 divided by 9, and if I divide that, 72 divided by 9, that gives me 8. This is indeed the 8 years that they say will take to double your money. So this statement is true, because if you divide the 72 by the percent, you get 8 years. Question answer is B. In number 18, you are going to be finding the amount of money for an annuity. If you recall, an annuity is where you pay into an account in regular payments. Now, there are 3 different formulas that are used for the annuity. If you need to find the total amount out in the future, and you know that it's compounded annually, you can use this first easier formula. If you need to find the total amount of an annuity and it's not annual interest, it may be quarterly or monthly or this third formula is where you would need to find a payment. So the P stands for a monthly payment that you would pay into a particular annuity to earn a final amount. So it depends on how the question these you would like to use. In this example, we are told that we're going to have $100 at the end of each year. The 5% is compounded annually, and the time is 8 years. So we know the payment, we know the rate is annual, and we know it's the years of 8 years. So that means we can use this easiest formula. Now, let's go ahead and substitute in. A equals the $100 payment. 1 plus the rate would be 0.05. The time is 8, and then we have a minus 1, and all of that is divided by the rate of 0.05. This is definitely something that would be easier done with your calculator. I would recommend you do the parentheses first and then the exponent. Then subtract that 1 that's inside those brackets. Next, multiply by the 100 and then divide by 0.05. And we will end up with $954.91. Now it said round to the nearest dollar, so this 91 cents will round us up to $955. It also asks us for the interest. Okay, if this was 8 years, remember in 8 years we would have put in $800 because we're putting $100 a year. So if we subtract out the money we put into this annuity, you would see that you actually earned $155. So the total in the bank annuity now is $955 and the interest is $155. The correct answer would be B. In question 19, you're asked to read the stock market ticker tape here. It says, what were the high and low prices for a share of the stock of ABC Company in the past 52 weeks? Right here you see 52. The high would have been $69.77. The low is $45.26. In question B, it said if you owned 700 shares of this stock last year, what dividend would you have earned? You would multiply 700 times this amount, $3.14. When you do that, 700 times $3.14, that gives me the answer of $2,198. That would be the answer for part B. It says, what is the annual return for dividends alone? The annual return would be this yield percentages. So that is a 1.3% yield on dividends alone. It says, how does this compare to a bank that offers 3%? Well, the yield is lower, but there is still the potential to get a better return when you have stocks, because that could possibly go up. It also says how many shares of this company's stock were traded yesterday. If you look for the VOL, that stands for volume, how many stocks. There were 5,915 hundreds. So you add on 2 zeros to represent the hundreds. Now that means your answer is really 591,500. And then question E, what were the high and low prices for a share yesterday? Well, for yesterday, that would be your high and low that's next to the word close. The high price for the day before is abbreviated as HI, and it's $55.70. The low price is abbreviated LO, and that was $54.89. Going on with some other questions, what was the price at which a share traded when the stock exchange closed yesterday? Well, the key word is closed, so you would look for the word close, and that gives us at the time the bell rang and trading closed for the day, your stock traded at $55.63. Now, what was the net change in price for a share of stock from the market close 2 days ago to the market's yesterday close? That will always be this net change. That will show you from the 2 days to the 1 day prior to what you are looking at. So the net change was a positive. It had gone up $1.94. Now, last but not least, we want to calculate the company's annual earnings per share. You will do that by taking yesterday's closing price, which is $55.63, and you will divide by the PE. That means the profit to expense ratio. So I will divide by 17 in this case. So on my calculator, 55.63 divided by 17, that's going to give me 3.27 if I go ahead and round off. So $3.27 annual earnings per share. Last question that we'll talk about on the test review is going to be about IRAs. In this question, it says you pay taxes on the money you deposit, but you can withdraw your earnings tax-free, beginning when you are what? If it's an IRA, the earliest you can withdraw money without penalty is 59.5 years old. You don't have to take it out then, but that's the earliest time you can withdraw it. The only type of IRA, individual retirement account, that you can actually let grow and go earnings tax-free is called the Roth IRA. I hope this all helps you with your Test 1 practice.